Year. I actually just finished watching the Eternals movies, so I'm riding high. That Icarus high stuff on.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and now that Marvel's Eternals is available on Disney Plus, everyone is now coming to terms with the wild implications of that movie's finale. Namely, what the hell happens to Earth now with a massive celestial corpse towering into the stratosphere? Like, we all got so caught up in Spider-Man No Way Home's memory logic that those ruins of Kafka also made us forget that even more destructive to the status quo of the MCU is this baby
that shit
killer,
looked like
at least on a seismic,
bro.
ecological, atmospheric, not to mention psychological scale. Earth is broken. So the real question is, did Marvel intentionally make this mess in Eternals and in No Way Home to F up Earth so badly that it must be rebooted in Multiverse of Madness? Let us explore how badly Tiamat's corpse broke the world and why. Explain! So according to Arishem in Eternals, Celestials are born from seeds planted inside of planet cores, and then they gestate, feeding on sentient life on the planet's surface until the population reaches critical mass and the Celestial hatches, killing everything on the planet. When Arishem showed this process to Cersei, it happened relatively fast, but in the climax of the film, the emergence is much slower, starting with Tiamat's upreaching hand, and then just the top half of his head. Cersei transforms his golden form into pure marble, and we even see the lights of his eye holes extinguishing, leaving now this massive marble corpse in the Indian Ocean. But how big exactly is Tiamat? Well, according to the film's VFX supervisor Matt Aitken from Weta Digital, they estimated Tiamat to be 500 kilometers or about 300 miles from his head to his toes. To be precise, 500 kilometers is 311 miles. But judging from the full body shot of Tiamat halfway through the film, the top half of his head, that's a part that later juts above sea level, amounts to about 8% of his overall height. That would make the part of Tiamat's head towering above the Indian Ocean to be a height of 40 kilometers or about 25 miles. For context, Mount Everest is 8.8 kilometers or 5.5 miles, meaning the top half of Tiamat's head is 4.5 times taller than Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on this planet. To put this in an even scarier context, the Earth's troposphere, where we live and breathe and all weather events occur, is 18 kilometers or 11 miles above sea level. Above that is the ozone layer, which ranges from 15 to 40 kilometers.
More science, educational reacts.
So yeah, Tiamat has broken through the ozone layer into the stratosphere. That would mean a devastating effect on weather conditions, UV radiation, and ocean tides, and that's to say the least. Because really this is a question of mass and mass displacement inside of the planet, in the Earth beneath Tiamat's body. Because Tiamat gestated from a seed planted in Earth's core. Earth's planetary diameter is 12,700 kilometers, or about 7,900 miles.
I didn't realize there was so much science and math when I clicked on this vid.
Kilometers or 1,800 miles beneath our feet. So if Tiamat is 500 kilometers or 311 miles tall, and we're not really counting for how wide or thick he is, just by height alone, that's 4% of the diameter. And that is a lot of cubic feet of mantle rock that Tiamat displaced as he emerged, which would cause massive explosions of rock elsewhere on the planet and continent-sized sinkholes in other areas. It would almost certainly destabilize the magnetic charge of the planet, throw it off of its gravitational axis, and yeah, just cause the whole planet to break apart as shown in Arishem's vision, even if only Tiamat's hand and head broke through. So yes, applying real-world physics, Tiamat should have just broken the Earth, and getting into MIT should have been the least of Peter Parker's worries. Now, of course, it is easy to just shrug this off, as even the VFX artist does in the interview. He says the logic and the scale are really just based on the needs of the sequence, and that's completely fair. It's a movie. Really, I think the more insane choice is that the Eternals film just leaves Marvel Tiamat there all in one chunk, as seen in news footage at the end of the film. I love how it looks, but it wasn't the only way this film had to end. Cersei transformed huge boulders into birds. She could transform any material into any other material. She could have dispersed Tiamat's form into something more malleable to fill back in those holes, like sand, or gravel, or cookie dough. Now, a huge thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. With HelloFresh, you can get fresh...
You're welcome. You're welcome. I know when he starts again, but don't even worry about it.
think is fun is that the Avengers could use this corpse as their new compound, as they did in the comics with the massive corpse of the Celestial the Progenitor, which became Avengers Mountain, equipped with Wakandan tech, a circulator transportation system, a brain room, and a prison in the gut, which is where I imprison Cookie Dough. Since Avengers compound was destroyed in Endgame, we don't really know what facility the Avengers get to use now, other than the sanctums of New York and Camertage borrowed from the Sorcerers, but I doubt that will be the case, since even Marvel executive Nate Moore indicated in an interview that elements from the Eternals film don't have to come back in future Marvel titles, which is a very rare tone for a Marvel executive to use. They're almost always like, we'll see, anything and everything could come back, but not here. To me, this signals that Chloe Zhao and her team were unleashed to go for broke in the way they leave the planet in Eternals, the same way if you think about John Watts and his team were allowed to bizarrely gaslight the whole universe in Spider-Man No Way Home. And the best reason I can see that these titles being allowed to burn the house down when it comes to world logic is that Marvel Studios, at the end of the day, plans to reset this universe anyway in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Because we know it was the Celestials and Airship's plan to allow Earth to be destroyed so that Tiamat could be born. And when the Eternals thwarted that plan, some of them were whisked away for judgment. But right after Tiamat's emergence, they unpack how that happened.
Tiamat joined our Unimind.
I always wondered how we survived the destruction of other planets that we were on. By being connected to the Celestial as it emerged.
Not an ad, bro. No.
It was weird. Picking it up.
I already watched this, bro. Come on. This is honestly.
That shield is complicated.
Facts.
To say the least.
That shield should be destroyed. This world is ours. We're never gonna stop.
This is a great series if you watch it. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I'm not gonna let anybody tell me I can't fight for it.
Now streaming on Disney Plus and
Fire.
the Disney bundle for even more.
Fire. We had to watch that one. They really named one of their characters after some McDonald's Sprite. They had a pocket, man.
Yeah, while Phastos frames this as a kind of loophole they stumbled into, hijacking a celestial link coded
Smoking that Sprite pack.
Makari's line reframes it with gratitude. A choice Tiamat might have made to allow them to survive at his own expense, sacrificing himself for something more important. Now, a more cynical mind could just view Makari as naive, like thanking a newborn who actually was ready to dust them off like afterbirth. But I'm with Makari here. I think this Gen Z celestial baby knew something that its boomer forefathers didn't, because Tiamat fed on the sentient life of Earth, and that sentient life included a link with its most knowledgeable residents. Who is more sentient on Earth than Doctor Strange, who overloaded his brain with multiversal knowledge to bypass Thanos? Or more sentient than Wanda Maximoff, who's now a Scarlet Witch Nexus being possessed with an even deeper knowledge of the multiverse? Tiamat knew what Strange knows, what Wanda knows. The opening scroll of this movie explained that Celestials predate the Big Bang and therefore supersede the 6 Infinity Stones. So combine that cosmic hive knowledge with the nature of the universe with everything Tiamat has now learned from Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff's multiverse experiments, and Tiamat must know that these two Terrans on this eggshell, rather than just being blown out of existence, instead are super important to the future of this universe and need to be preserved to fix and to rewrite this reality into the new world that it will look like after this coming Nexus event. And that new world could include Tiamat's corpse being erased from the Indian Ocean, could include whatever Kevin Feige wants the MCU to know about Spider-Man, and could include anything else Marvel Studios wishes to improve about this planet in the MCU, like the fact that there aren't enough mutants on it.
So basically, the Multiverse of Madness is
the
ultra
physics of Tiamat
important.
riding into our stratosphere, and why he actually did us a huge favor by doing this. Explain.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough cringe, man. That's enough cringe. Make sure to check out New Rockstars. Peace.